Hi, I'm Brian.
Hey everybody, we'll talk about what we're wearing in a second. This is a two-part video today. The first part is a response to the Green Dream Project has challenged us to choose our favorite video. I guess it started with Roots and Refuge.
Yeah.
But we've been challenged to pick our favorite video of ours from the, I don't know, 30 something we have. So I guess that's not too hard.
There's so many to choose from.
There's so many. And ours might be different, I don't know. There's a lot of course, honorable mentions. They're all, since we don't have very many, most of them, were kind of a big deal for us, at least a little bit. But there's some, obviously, the first one or even the first couple were kind of a big deal because it was so new to us. So I like those. Those were neat. But for me, so there's
I like the fun ones.
What's your feelings? Right. So I have kind of two favorites, sort of. One, obviously, we like the fun ones because we like to laugh, we like to make them, and we like to watch them because we like
they're
funny
fun.
stuff. So one for me, for sure, is the Wheel of Impressions. I mean, it's funny. They're clearly not the crowd favorites, as you can see by the numbers, but those are the ones we have the most fun making, and even still watching. We still watch some of them back.
I like the first one though because we were still hopeful then. We're hopeful now too. There's just been some.
But so the Wheel of Impressions is definitely maybe kind of this is almost like a 1 and 1A. That'd probably be number 1 for me. Number 2 or 1A for me is
1A. Did you say A1A?
1A, kind of like number 1. I think is the Wheel of Impressions, but like a close, like a 1A is
Detroit Avenue.
Is
I don't know why that just popped into my head. Yeah.
Is the mini split install, just because it was such a big deal for me. So it was just a real sense of accomplishment and everything. So that was nice. Even though, as we'll talk about shortly, we've had our issues with the mini split since then. But the solar trailer obviously was a big one too. But again, because that was largely done by some friends of ours, I didn't get quite the sense of accomplishment. It was a big deal for us here, obviously.
What was done by friends?
The solar trailer.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a big video too, but the mini split one was kind of all on our own. So that was a bigger one.
The solar trailer was a very big deal.
Well, for the homestead, that was huge, of course. But is it your favorite video? It was a big deal. So of course it's tough to pick. So we throw out a bunch there. But I think we both, the one thing we probably agree on the most is that the funny ones we like the most. And so I think the Wheel of Impressions would have to win if I had to pick one. So that was the first purpose of making this video. So there's our response to the Green Dream Project, Jim and Jessica. But the second half, and sort of explains why we're dressed the way we are, is we're freezing out here.
We went from the frying pan into the ice box.
So I mentioned the mini split video, which of course was a big deal, and largely has been a success, and largely has not sometimes. So if you've watched our channel, you've seen kind of the issues we had with it through the summer. Again, some our fault, and some not our fault, right? But now that we're into the cold, we're having now.
It got cold fast.
It sure did. It went right from hot to cold. It seemed like there was very little in between, but that still gets nice during the day. So the extremes are at night, obviously. So we're about to get it looked at, I think, on Monday. But so I don't really know the cause yet. There's a couple of things it could be. It could be a refrigerant leak, like we had in the summer, that caused us to have a hard time keeping cool. The same thing could stop us from keeping warm now. The mini split is not heating. It puts out a very kind of lukewarm, if you hold your hands in front of it, you might get slightly warmed up from freezing hands, but it is not heating the trailer. So we've got a temporary solution of some little space heaters and things. So we're doing our best to keep warm, but we're dressing warm basically.
In the morning is when it's the worst because
Yeah, it's still, I think it's
can't
probably
leave
going to
it
be 70
running all-
degrees today or something.
We
so.
can't leave it running all night.
Yeah, it warms up during the day, but that's the problem. Because of our solar situation and because of leaving a propane heater just kind of running in the middle of the night, we're leaving things off in the middle of the night, and we wake up to some pretty cold temperatures. So
we're bundled up in the morning, and then in the afternoon we're ripping off our clothes.
yesterday afternoon we were pretty darn warm,
Literally.
but we really didn't want to open up and bring the cool in because we knew that within a matter of an hour or two it was going to cool off, and it did cool off quickly. The other thing that's happening to us in the morning, again because of the cold, even though I've wrapped the piping outside, the water hose from our spigot to our trailer, we're getting a freeze. Our water is freezing so that we can't actually turn on any water in the morning. Now, as soon as the sun comes up, it thaws that out, and it doesn't last for very long. The water comes back pretty quickly. But that's something I've got to figure out. I don't know exactly where the water is freezing. It's not freezing in the pipes from the well to us, because the first thing I checked was to go down to another spigot on the property and turn it on, and it ran water. So it's not freezing in the pipes on the way to the trailer. It's freezing once it gets up here to the trailer. So I need to find the spot that it's freezing. But that's what the other part of this video, this two-part video, is just to mention that that we're trying to stay positive in the midst of a lot of
challenges,
difficulties, and problems.
And we we're trapped in this box together all day, and every little thing he does drives me crazy. And I don't know if Jim and Jessica have this problem as well, and I mean I'm sure Derek and Hannah do too. I think they've actually said that on theirs.
So I've said before that the small space doesn't bother us, and it really doesn't in terms of having room for things and stuff like that. But I will say, when things are good, right? So in the summer, let's say when we got our air conditioning working and when things are going okay, when you don't have a lot of problems, the space is not a big deal. When things are going wrong and things are breaking and things aren't working right or whatever,
it's stressful.
And you put on top of that the fact that you're both, in that small space and it's hard to get away from each other, it makes it pretty difficult.
You want to take your anger out on someone.
Yeah. So that's been difficult too. But the list of problems, I mean, and some of them are minor and some of them are not. Obviously
Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I have very long nails.
The temperature thing inside here is really, it was in the summer and it is now in the winter. It's a biggie. I mean, it's just one problem, but it's one of the most important things, that you can have to deal with. It's really difficult to wake up to 40 degrees and you can see your own breath inside the trailer, and then to have a positive attitude, right? And
I think we're doing pretty
no
well.
running water.
Pretty well.
So that's tough. But some of the other things we've been experiencing, obviously, I'm still dealing with the erosion issues. I'm trying to get an appointment with another person that is going to give me some advice. I'm ready to purchase some materials and things, but I want some advice on how to use them best and how to get the most bang for the buck. We continue to deal with it hasn't been so bad recently. Our small shed, when we had all the rains, it's leaking.
It's wet.
It's leaking basically at the connection point between the foundation, which is really just, I built basically a subfloor.
At least it hasn't rained in a while.
So yeah, since it hasn't rained in a while, the shed's been okay, but it is something we have to deal with whenever we get any water. It's a pain. That thing's been wet a lot. Our car had some issues. We brought an issue actually with us from our previous life. The car had an issue with heat. We had bypassed the heater core in the car, and we knew it was something we'd have to take care of.
So we had no heat?
We had no heat. Now in the summer that was no big deal, but it kept us from overheating. We had an overheating problem.
When we got that fixed.
Bad heater core. So we got that fixed, and as soon as we got that fixed, we got another, light coming on in the car about overheating temperature and things. So I talked to the guy that fixed it, and he said, you probably have to replace your thermostat. I did that myself, which is rare for me to do things on a car for myself.
It seems to have worked.
And so far, fingers crossed, that seems to have worked. But again, another little problem, another little annoyance that when you've got 10 other things on top of it, it feels like the world is just crashing down on you. The other one I wanted to mention, though, was the greenhouse. We have bought a little
kind
of
My little greenhouse that I
guess I
don't know
call it
what to do with.
portable. I don't know. I mean, it can
Tiny.
be moved. It's just a small greenhouse that we got on Amazon
Yeah,
with some,
a cheapie.
you push together some poles and stuff. I reinforced it a little bit extra because we do get so much wind out here. I thought it probably wouldn't stand up to the wind. So the reinforcement actually I think is good. I put a little bit of rebar in and kind of tied the poles to the rebar and stuff, and so I think it's doing well that way. But temperature-wise, it's a little weird. It's something we've still got to understand.
I've never dealt with a greenhouse.
it obviously
so I have
gets
I'm watching videos on that.
It obviously gets warm inside during the day as the sun hits it, but what we didn't expect
Really warm.
is that in the morning, the idea behind that thing is it holds some of that heat, right? What's happened in the mornings is one morning you got up and it was like 30 degrees in there, which is not supposed to happen.
Well,
so.
I think that one morning we accidentally left the windows open on it. It has little windows.
That may have been it. It has little flap windows. So anyway, I don't know for sure
haven't
yet
checked
that
it
that's
again.
like
I need to check it.
a big thing. We might just need to figure out and do a little bit more on kind of how to use it. But we do have a little greenhouse that we're going to try and start to grow some things in. So we've got to pick the right
I'm
crops
gonna start off small
to try in the colder weather. So, but that's what we're up to.
That's about it.
All.
I think that's it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
But mostly, stay classy. We'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.